Big exciting news to start your Monday evening as Bernie Sanders says that Congress will not be going home this week until a stimulus check goes out. What's Nancy going to do? She's going to have to change her ice cream, her $12 ice cream appointment schedule. It's just not going to work for her. My goodness. Congress is not going home until we do that. That's what the American people want. Well, we also want a lot of other things, but, one thing at a time for now. Really exciting news as the physical blockade to get stimulus relief is underway that will block anything coming from the problem creators or anyone else unless a stimulus check is given to us. Breaking details across the board as the senators are setting up a procedural blockade that would ensure that a stimulus check goes out this week by act of law. Well, not actually out this week, but formulated into a law this week and then would go out thereafter. You would get it during the month of December. This is the first time that anyone has procedurally taken anything this affirmative in favor of a stimulus check since May. It's absolutely incredible, jaw-dropping, great news. Meantime, states are sending out stimulus checks, big stimulus checks. I have all the states here. I'm going to be going over which states are sending out stimulus checks and see if it's one of yours. Then counties and cities are sending out stimulus checks, and we're not done there as well. Rent stimulus, food stimulus are being announced as well. And what about the SSI and SSDI? What about that $2,400? And what about MSC? So many stimulus checks, so little time. I'm glad you joined me. It's a big night. It's a Monday evening. And this is Evenings LALATE. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Evenings LA, and thank you for joining me for a jaw-dropping blockbuster of a night in which your stimulus check is not only in play, but is now blocking anything else that's coming from anyone else that doesn't want to give you stimulus checks. The video that I'm going to give to you right now in this Evenings LA recording will cover not only the congressional stimulus check, but now the new state stimulus checks. Then the rent stimulus coming from your states, food stimulus, utility stimulus, and more. Then I'll turn back to Congress. The MSCs that will come in January, the additional $2,400 SSI and SSDI stimulus check, and all those and more. A lot of breaking details. Please stay with me and I'll go to the front of the channel, subscribe, because no one's getting money around the clock for you. No one's fighting to ensure that you get stimulus check because of the ones I just detailed to you. Some are automatic. Some of you just don't do anything. It just lands in your mailbox. Others you actually have to do something. And guess what? The big dollar number ones, you have to do something. And that's how you get $5, $10, $15, $20,000 like other viewers of this channel. Really exciting. I want to ensure that you get as many of these stimulus checks as you can. Also, like this video. In tonight's video, I'll be going over what Bernie and Josh are doing in the Senate, what the problem creators are doing in the Public Relations Department. Oh, my goodness. And what is Nancy doing? Besides the hair. Sir Lloyd is sitting back saying, oh, just move out of the way and tell the stimulus. It's one of those nights just sort of when Sir Lloyd just sort of come in and just wag his tail and just sort of push people out of the way and say, where's the stimulus check? And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news, as you said here tonight, is that there is a procedural blockade being set up in the Senate to ensure that you get what you need now and not big business and big corporate America, which needs to go to the back of the line. What is this procedural barricade and how is it working and how does it formulate? A little bit complex, but let me explain to you how it works. What's at issue is a continuing resolution, a budget bill that has to fund the federal government. It was due last weekend, but they made an agreement that they would give a 1-week extension. Well, Bernie Sanders made an agreement he would give a 1-week extension. But this week, he said on the proviso, on the requirement that you don't do it again. So this week he said you do a stimulus check or else. What is the or else? Let me explain what's going on. So presumably sometime during this week, you would get something in the Senate landing there from somewhere, presumably from the House, and Nancy passing it with her flock of sheep. That's a continuing resolution budget. It probably won't have anything good in it. It'll probably be messed up and bad or whatever. And it'll be landing in the Senate. Okay, when it lands in the Senate and it's bad, it doesn't include a stimulus check and it's just sort of a mess, then what happens? What happens is Democrats who are in the Senate have written a letter, put it in writing, and then Republican Josh Hawley and independent Bernie Sanders of Missouri and Vermont have said vocally that they're going to stop whatever lands in the Senate for continuing resolution from being passed until something else is done first. What is the thing that will go before it? Josh's standalone stimulus check bill. They're basically going to say, we're going to push our bill for a vote before you do a CR. Otherwise, we're going to withhold any support for the CR and shut the government down. As Bernie said today, Congress is not going to go home until we do that. That's what the American people want. Josh's bill is $1,200 for adults, $500 for children. Some of the language of the bill needs to be modified because it's not very clear if all adults will get a $1,200 stimulus check or if adult dependents are excluded like in the first stimulus package. The tweets and the messaging from Bernie and Josh seem to suggest that that was not the intention. The intention is to pay everyone who qualifies within the income level of the first stimulus package to get a stimulus check and not to exclude adult dependents or people on SSI, SSDI, simply because of the manner in which they file or don't file a tax return. That's all really good news, but we have to ensure that that language revision gets done this week. Now, so when they do that, then what? They would push it for a vote. Now, over the weekend, you heard me talk about a couple things. Well, what about eviction moratorium, I said? What about mortgage forbearance? What about PUA? What about UI? Well, we had great words today coming from Bernie as well, in which he said that he wants to ensure that UI, PUA is extended. So now we know that he certainly is in favor of it. He's just not in favor of doing stuff but leaving out a stimulus check. But I still would want eviction moratorium and mortgage forbearance said by the people involved. It still is sort of a word that is not being mentioned enough. And ultimately, I don't want it to be lapse. Eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, and PUA and UI all expire in late December. Everyone's trying to protect UI and PUA from expiring. That's very clear. But eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, not hearing many words from a lot of people. Joe Biden has said it. A series of Democrats have said it, but not as many as I would like. So you got to get that messaging out very clear on social media. Meantime, Bernie is not particularly happy about what the as I call them, the problem creators are doing about the stimulus bill. What kind of negotiations is this when you go from $3.4 trillion to $188 billion in new money? That's not negotiations, that's a collapse, he said today. We cannot go home until there's a strong unemployment benefit plus $1,200 per adult, $500 per kid for every working fit person and family in this country. Amen. Amen. He then continues that Democrats passed a $3.4 trillion bill. You had the Republicans in the administration talking about $1.8 trillion. And now you're down to $188 billion in new money in the Romney plan, which does not include one nickel in direct payments for working families in this country. Direct payments is another word to say stimulus checks. That's totally unacceptable, and that has to be rejected, Sanders said today. All really great news. So to recap, procedurally what you're going to see is the senators, Republicans, Democrats, independents in the Senate are going to say, you know what, you can do what you want in the House, but when it lands here, no. When it lands here, we are going to ensure that a stimulus check bill is done first, and we will not support any calling of a vote of a CR until the stimulus check bill is passed. Wow. So you need to be on social media and tag Bernie Sanders, tag Hawley, MO, tag reporters that are covering the subject like Kelly CNBC, wonderful daytime reporter, tag AOC, tag Elizabeth Warren, and say, hashtag Purple Power, hashtag LALATE, hashtag stimulus check or shutdown. You need to make it very clear. We need the language of the bill to ensure that all adult dependents get a stimulus check, ensure that eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance, PUA, and UI are also all included. Done. Isn't life so simple when you do it the right way? There we go. Now, that's the Congress. What about the states? So this is the big exciting news across the board. States continue to be announced daily that are issuing stimulus checks. And ultimately, if you don't hear your state announce or city or county, stay with me because I'm always filtering to hear if there's new states being announced throughout the day. This is what we have so far. State stimulus checks are coming from Minnesota for $500. In Maine, you're getting $600. Colorado, $375. New Mexico, $1,200. Oregon, $500. North Carolina, $335. City of Houston, $1,200. City of Austin, $2,000. Also pending, potentially, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware. County stimulus checks coming. Jacksonville, 1,000. Orange County, Florida. Also, Nome, Atlanta. Pending, Escambia County, Fort Worth, Texas, Gadsden County, Florida. All really exciting. Now, what's important to understand is that all these have may have particular requirements. You need to look them up. I don't know anything about the routing times, and I also don't know about which organization. I don't know which states may be in the pipeline. So people are always like, is this going to be announced tomorrow? I just don't know. I can't read tea leaves all the time. So there you go. Now, what about other stimulus from states? Yes. So states are also doing rent stimulus. This one now you have to apply for. Everything up to now was free. You don't have to do anything. Just land your account. Rent stimulus, you have to go apply for. Where's the rent stimulus? City of Nashville, City of Harrisburg, City of Atlanta, County of San Diego, and then counties across Georgia, like Gwinnett and DeKalb. What's important to understand, you need to apply for those. This is thousands of dollars. And this is on top of all the city halls, county housing authority, city housing authority, state housing authority. There's paying big rent to viewers of this channel, whether it's Alabama or Louisiana, whether it's West Virginia. Viewers are getting big rent checks. Massachusetts, $5, $10, $15, $20,000 viewers of this channel have gotten. Even San Bernardino County Housing Authority, someone got rent from. So really exciting, great news. Also utility stimulus. They're getting it from either utility companies or the city or county as well. Meantime, what about privates? Yeah, privates are detailed in the video right after this, Purple Power Live, in which I go over states like Mississippi, 1, 2, 3, Mercy House, Home Saver, Salvation Army paying rent in Mississippi to viewers of this channel, along with MSHD, eviction diversion. If you're wondering about what organizations in your city or county that are paying rent that are nonprofits that are picking up for where your city or state's not doing it, tune into Purple Power Live, which covers that more in detail in just about 5 minutes after this recording. Actually, no, at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Next, what's going on with the $2,400? So the $2,400 is another stimulus check that would come in January over the next 12 months. It would be $200 a month that would go on top of your SSI and SSDI benefits every month until December. This is something you don't have to do anything for. It would just land on top of it. It would be part of your monthly check, so your monthly check would be higher. This is part of the Biden plan. That plus two other items. The second one is a raise of your annual benefits, about 20% across the board. Really exciting. And then a new benchmark, different than COLA, that would raise your benefits annually based upon new benchmark. Now, what about other stimulus checks? Yes, we don't forget those. We don't. And we don't forget that CARES Act 1 money. I just, in the back of my head, I just said, oh, you haven't mentioned the CARES Act 1 money for like at least 3 hours. You're going to get 50 comments. Is it gone? Did it get stolen? No, it's still there. It's one of those things you don't mention that people get very antsy. I do too. I've always said to you that CARES Act 1 money that could be repurposed as a stimulus check, I'm just worried you wake up one morning, it's gone. I'm just worried you wake up and one morning it's gone. And of course, yeah, that amounts to a $5,000 stimulus check. There's a lot of money there. So what about the MSCs? Well, the MSCs would be starting in January, so claims Joe Biden. He promises to give you multiple stimulus checks, as many stimulus packages as you need until this pandemic's over. When is the pandemic over? Just, $1 million question. Bill Gates says the next 3 or 4 months are going to be the worst. Vaccination details are now coming out, and we're now hearing that maybe vaccinations for the vast majority of the population may not be April, but a little bit later. And so these concerns now worry viewers to think, well, maybe this will be held out longer. Ultimately, Joe Biden wants to give you relief as often as so represented. That is what, as needed. That's what he's represented. He basically said, hey, you need relief every month, I'm going to do another bill. How about all the other things? Hazard pay? Yeah. EIDL? Yeah. CDC grant? Yeah. But ultimately, the concern is what's going to happen with those two Georgia Senate seats. If they don't both fall to the Democrats, then ultimately a lot of the things that Joe Biden wants may get watered down. The stimulus check every month for 7 months to millions of Americans, that may not pass. Additionally, hazard pay at $10,000 may not pass. A lifeline grant at $50,000 per person may not pass. And also one of the things I have not mentioned a lot today is the retroactive FPUC. Retroactive FPUC, Joe Biden is representing, he'll get you back to when it expired late July, all the way up to the president, $600 a week. Now, yeah, do the math, that's $18,000. Is he going to get $18,000 through Mitch? Not if both of those Senate seats not if the GOP remains in control of the Senate. If the GOP remains in control of the Senate, you're not going to see $600 a week retroactive. In fact, you're not going to see anything that puts $20,000 in your hand. But you would see other things that are smaller, perhaps $300 a week, perhaps not as retroactive hazard pay, but perhaps not $10,000-ish of hazard pay. Grants, but not $50,000 in grants per person. That's the sort of dynamic of what we're at. Now, what's important to understand is that this money right now is available right now. And earlier today, I had a viewer who said, "Thank you, LALATE. I got a rent grant from you. It'll help for my business and for costs because I have a big business." I said, "Did you get any EIDL?" "No, I didn't get any EIDL." I said, "Why didn't you get any EIDL?" "I'm going to start looking at it now." I said, start looking at it now. Ultimately, a lot of these things may not be around much longer. EIDL is one of the candidates. I'm worried the money's just going to, be gone. And so if you want to do certain things, do it now. In that same breath, I also say the same thing. I also say the following. If you're reaching out to a volunteer on the community page, news.lalate.com/community, do not use my statements of, well, it's not going to be around much longer as a reason to contact the community volunteer in panic. You got to get back to me in 15 minutes. Get back to me in 20 minutes. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to people who wait around 2 weeks for situations or, 2 months and 2 hours. You can hold off a little bit. Keep it calm. I mean, it's just, there's more of a demand for the community volunteers than Nancy Pelosi's hairdresser. So there you go. Coming up on Purple Power Live tonight, I'll be going over the cities and states and counties that are doing rent, food, utilities, also children's gifts for the holidays. Then I'll be turning to the nationals, the nonprofits. There's several of them. They're paying for rent utilities across the board, despite whatever city or county or state you're in. Meantime, looking back on Monday, looking across the whole news forum of coverage today, you didn't see what you thought you're going to see. You saw a lot of PR bits, and the PR bits came from the problem creators, appearing on the Capitol steps with their poster and their narrative. Ultimately, do I care? I don't really care, because ultimately if you don't have agreement from the Senate, you could just, you could appear on the Capitol steps with a $50,000 stimulus check. But if it's not going to pass the Senate, what's the point? Really, what's the point? The point is who's going to support what in the Senate. And that's why you have to take these videos and tag the right people to ensure that they're supporting you. Also text Mitch McConnell, his communications director, and his press secretary. Join me next on Purple Power Live. Coming up next, as always, stay influenced, stay smiling, and stay in that life for more.